I was very lucky to have known and met the most generous person ever in my life, my father. Fortunately, he is no longer. Why? He was generous not in material terms, although he was a very wealthy man, but he was generous in his mind. He was generous in a holistic way with his heart in everything. So we were talking about my future, and he said, "What is it that you want to do?" And I said, "I would like to go into the hospitality business." He said, "That's a good decision because that made us rich. Eating, sleeping, and drinking will never go out of fashion. So that's why we're in this business." "Good, my son." I said, "But that's not the reason I want to go in this business. It's a totally different reason. I want to go into this business because this business is interacting with other people. I like to interact and I like to please people. I like to be of service to people because it gives me enormous satisfaction to service. For some people, servicing others means lowering yourself. It's fundamentally wrong. It enriched my life tremendously. And I can only recommend to all of you who don't know what to do in life, incidentally, 10% of the world population works in hospitality and tourism. Every 10 person in the world. Anyhow, then he said, "Well, fine, so you're going to take over the family business." I said, "No, second disappointment, no, because I don't want to live in Switzerland. It's a beautiful country, but it's too narrow. Narrow valleys, narrow minds. I want to see the world. And one of the reasons why I want to go into this business is I want to see the world go places." And I remember when I was in boarding school, I had the world map behind me and I was looking the furthest away place from Switzerland was Hawaii. That was my fantasy. I always wanted to go to Hawaii. Eventually, I went one day. Anyhow, I then did the Ivy League École Hôtelière de Lausanne, graduated not with honors, but graduated anyhow, and we had to do 2 internships. The first internship was in Spain. I wanted to learn Spanish. I didn't speak a word of Spanish. I worked at the Palace Hotel in Madrid. The youngest receptionist was 52 years, and the chef de réception was 86, Monsieur Rodriguez. And he said, "Hijo, the 2 possibilities. You're out front or you're at the back. Back, no window, and you have to classify, you have to file all these registration cards." I said, "No, that I like to be with people." I said, "Yeah, but in front, no tip, no room. You understand?" "What do you mean, no tip, no room?" People who have reservation said, "Listen, you don't like it, you go back, okay?" I said, "Fair enough." First case came. Sorry, terribly sorry, but this group didn't leave, and I was looking first, I was introduced to how this thing worked. And I was absolutely scandalized that at that time, I still remember a regular room, superior room, was 1,250 pesetas. And said, for less than 500, no room. You understand? So you look at the color of the bills. If the color is not the right one, no room. Even the hotel was half empty. That's the way it goes. And I said, one day I will be a general manager. I know that, at least. I didn't know that CEOs existed at the time. So I said, I will not allow this. This is not right. This is fundamentally wrong. This is not the way hospitality is in my mind. Second thing was, I had to do an internship in service in Switzerland, because one was compulsory to be in Switzerland. The maître d'hôtel, the restaurant manager, Monsieur Franz, he always knew when guests were leaving, so he went there and said, "Alles in Ordnung," everything was fine, obviously soliciting the tip. And usually they get 100, 200 Swiss franc tip. And like a cobra that attacks a mouse, if you have seen this lightning speed, he took the 100, put it behind his pochette, and he had a 10 Swiss franc bill, always the same. So he put the 100 francs behind and put the 10 franc out and said, "Pour la brigade." And I said, this is not right. I mean, we do the work, and this guy is like a peacock walking around and gets all the tip. if one day I will be a general manager, this is not going to happen in my hotel. Because we revolted. So I was observing this tipping, and I think tipping is linked to generosity. It's the material expression of showing recognition, but it's not the only reason. That's why I come back to generosity eventually. What do you think a professor at the university in Eastern Europe is making? 500, 700 euro. What do you think a bellboy in a luxury hotel, I was working all my life in luxury hotels, it's where tipping obviously has been brought to the next level. What do you think a bellboy is making that brings the luggage up? He makes that in less than a week. Where is there justice? But the professor loves his job. He's convinced, and fortunately he doesn't know what the bellboy is making, who doesn't need any education, but makes a lot of money. So there is an imbalance. Social injustice through tipping. Another example, we had a Saudi owner of a hotel that we managed. There was a senior executive, a lady, a German lady, and of course she knew the owner. The owner came. She accompanied the owner from his Bentley to the elevator, took the elevator to his suite, and had a chat, and then he gave her an envelope. She opened the envelope, 3,000 euro. 3,000 euro, so she was destabilized and said, what is this 3,000 euro for? Does he want something? Do I have to go back? Or so she went to the general manager and said, look, I'm really embarrassed. The sheikh gave me this thing. What should I do? Is this for distribution of the staff or what? And he created confusion. He didn't create happiness. So he said, let me call him. He called. I said, Your Excellency, and he said, no, I like her. She's always been very friendly. She's always wonderful. She's fantastic. So I just wanted to express my gratitude to her. My God, I'm so hurt that she could think that I had anything else in mind, but then just to be nice to her. So for him, nice, 3,000 euro for him is like 3 cents for somebody else because he's a very wealthy man. But he created confusion. Then you also tip very often the wrong person. You all go to restaurants. Who do you tip? The waiter. But the waiter brings craftsmanship happens in the kitchen. That's where the artistry is, in luxury hotels and luxury restaurants. You're tipping the waiter and the chef never sees the color of a tip. This is right. And worse, some of you have certainly eaten in a sushi bar. You sit at the bar, and the guy that really does the work and has the mastery, and if you have been in Japan, it takes years for a sushi chef to master his trade. The man that comes from the back and clears the plate is the one who gets the tip. And the guy in front of you, who you can see, who's doing all the work and all the craftsmanship, gets nothing. Is it right? Is it obscene? Obscene. Do you think it is right that we have a guest, he always wanted to have the newspaper in the morning. Newspaper costs $5, and he gave a $100 bill. So you can imagine that there was a lineup in the morning of all the bellboys to bring the newspaper up. It's completely disproportionate to tip $100 for something that is worth $5. What I'm trying to say, there is no rule. There is no guideline. You try to tip a taxi driver in Japan, he's deeply offended because it's not in his cultural custom. You try not to tip a New York waiter, and I can tell you, you don't leave the restaurant. So, for some, it is a right, and for others, it's an offense, depending where you are. You also have to look what at the salary basis, it has to be balanced. What is my recommendation? My recommendation is generosity that I learned from my father is a holistic way of being. And tipping is a material side to it. What do you think a maid feels in a hotel if you're just nice to her? spend a little bit time and express that you're very happy the way she has made up the room, and this is all very nice, and she should be proud in something that is not really the greatest job in the world, but you reward her with recognition. That for her is definitely more important than just the raw tip. Now, he said, well, this guy is talking about tipping, and now I know as little as before. I can tell you I've been traveling around 186 countries, I've been tipping fortunes, but I still haven't found the answer. Continue to over-tip, that's usually what people do, because in case of hesitation, you always over-tip. Don't be cheap, like my lawyer. We arrived in New York, lawyer and I'm in front of the hotel. We get out, I tipped the guy $10. I said, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean what I'm doing? I said, what did you do? I said, well, I tipped the guy. I said, never tip a man you never see again. I said, there's some truth in it. I said, listen, Heinz, I mean, how cheap can you be? I mean, really, you should be ashamed of yourself. I said, no. I said, but of course there's some logic in it. So once in a while as a joke, I said, are we going to meet again? I said, I don't think so, sir. I said, but anyhow, if you only knew, hopefully you never meet this guy. So what can you do? Continue over-tipping. It makes you it gives you peace of mind. It makes you feel good. But more importantly, be generous. In the hospitality business, in the exchange of services, the most important thing is the valuation through recognition, through just being nice. Thank you. Thank you for what you have been doing for me. Thank you for the service I received, and I thank you for having listened to me.